Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Andertons TV, where today myself and Danish Pete will explore the options for guitar players these days who, for some crazy reason, don't want to use an actual guitar amplifier anymore. Yes, it has been an option for guitar players for many years now to opt not to have a regular guitar amplifier to get their sound, and to have an electronic device, pedal device, do the same thing. I suppose going back many years, brands like Palmer used to do crazy things like this. For probably the last 10 years or so, maybe a bit more, people might talk about things like Kempers or Helixes and things like that. But in the last... Neural
is the new kid on the block.
In the last, I would say most recently, has been this idea of just having a tiny weeny little pedal just kind of replace the guitar amp element of what you're doing, and then use your, traditional effects pedal board with this. So the setup we've got today is Pete's purple monster into his normal pedal board. Into the Quartermaster, Gig Rig Quartermaster for switching. Depending on which one of these I press will depend on whether you're hearing the Walrus ACS-1, the Strymon Iridium, the Atomic Ampli-Firebox Mark II, the Simplifier Deluxe, or for your bonus round, an actual guitar amplifier in the Victory DP40, but plugged into the Torpedo Captor X. I've set all these up on their sort of Fendery Deluxe kind of clean tone, with the EQ fairly flat, and we're just going to go through them and see what we think.
Please like and subscribe.
Do. If you're enjoying these videos, perhaps you're new to this channel, give it a like and subscribe, and then we'll tell you about other gear reviews in the future.
And go check out the merch as well, look.
Yes, new pink merch.
New pink merch. Pink Pete, that's what they're calling me from now on.
Everything here is going straight into our interface, so you're not hearing any cabs mic'd up or anything. We're hearing it in the room through our Kali, what are these? 8-inch studio monitors, Kali 8 studio monitors. We're not applying any other kind of post-production. If you hear a reverb, I'll tell you whether it's coming from Pete's pedal board or whether it's coming from the pedals. And let's get into it. So pedal number 1, set to its Fullerton mode, using a Deluxe cabinet. And now, criticism potentially number 1 of the Walrus and the Strymon is the inbuilt reverb is really about adding a roominess to it. It's not like a traditional reverb that you'd have on the front of an amplifier. So we probably will use Pete's pedal reverb as well. But here's with no reverb, no roomness at all.
It sounds good.
Pretty dry.
But then turn the room up so people can hear. So it's literally like being in a room. And if I add golden reverberator from UA Effects, set to a spring, then it just sounds a bit nicer. But I think that's why they've done it like that. So you
just use your normal pedal board. Now, so this is exactly the same as all the pedals are just going in the front end of the Walrus here. I'm kind of interested in your point of view, Pete, not only in the tone, I think people will be able to hear the tone, but does it have an amp feel to it? Because I guess that's the bit that's the trickiest bit.
It's the old question, the aged old question. And we're talking about lag, and when you pick a note, and if it's got headroom, so when you touch the note, if it blooms the right way, envelope or whatever they all call it. But I think all of these things today are so good that I don't think there is any lag. I don't feel any lag. Maybe it's just me because I'm used to playing lots of stuff, but.
I mean, I think it sounds great. So turn the reverb off, and now we'll jump over to the Iridium. again, I'm not playing with the EQ yet. Everything here is set at 12 o'clock. I haven't done anything funky with the software. So here's an Iridium with no room. Turn a little bit of room up.
It's the same. Put some that, and here go the reverberator.
It's a little jump between the two.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer the Walrus at the moment.
The Iridium's opted for a Fender amp model with much more mid-range and slightly less bass end. So it's not, for me, what I think of when I think of really classic Fender tones. You know, tons of bass end and brightness and stuff. Now, of course, I've not done anything here.
No, true.
And as far as IRs are concerned, you know, impulse responses, you can obviously load in your own impulse responses to any of these. We are simply using the ones that sort of come out the box with these.
Yeah.
So let's jump on over now. Turn the reverb off here. So the first one, in fact, the Firebox is slightly different to the rest of the units here, in that the Firebox has a few effects built into it. So in addition to your reverbs, you've got compression, boost, and delay.
Gate as well, isn't it?
We've done a proper demo of the Firebox too, which actually, if you click on the link up there, you'll be able to watch.
Smooth.
But for now, we're on its Fender Deluxe amp mode with a matching Deluxe cabinet with it. And the reverb, though, now is inbuilt to the pedal. Back to the Walrus.
Yeah.
It's bass. It's very bass. It's the bassiest one so far. And I think that's inherent within the model rather than anything I've done EQ wise. So I probably, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, to know. You can EQ any of these things up crazy amounts until you get the sound that you like. And of course you can, you know, the IR you use it with will change the sound big as well. Or big, terrible grammar there. So
I feel like the bass end just makes it
too much.
I like it, but I think it's almost like a designed sound that you know, do you know what I mean? That it sounds good.
Let me take a little bit of the resonance down on here.
Like, and a real amp wouldn't have that bass end.
That amount of bass end.
You know, it's almost made to sound good in the ear like that, which is fine, because that's what you want them for, isn't it? You want to listen to them to headphones or straight in speakers. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back through this, by the way, and fiddle around with some more tones. We've got pedals on the board. The next one along is the Humboldt Simplifier Deluxe, which you can also click up here and watch the full review on if you want. This is all analog now, apart from the reverb section, which is digital. So this has a slightly different vibe to it, and again a different feel to it. So here we go. But we've set it clean at the moment.
Yeah.
So again, are we being Fender? Yes, we're all trying to be Fendery here, Fender kind of clean vibe. The Simplifier Deluxe is, that's the other thing I forgot to mention. So the Walrus is stereo, the Iridium is stereo, the Firebox is mono, and the Simplifier is stereo. Last one, let's in the mix.
Okay.
This is Pete's amplifier, but again, we're using the 2 notes Captor X with a 212 Victory Duchess matching sort of cabinet. And the reverb we've switched off from here. So the reverb is the reverb that's in the amplifier.
Yes.
So I think you'd be hard pushed if we were to do that blindfold and you were just listening. I think you'd be hard pushed to go, yeah, that's the real amp, and that's the pedal. And again, I think you'd be hard pushed to tell which one was digital and which one was analog. You know, I mean, it's like they're all pretty good. If I'm honest with you, the one thing in all these kind of shootouts, and we did a shootout about a year ago that did include the Iridium, but it included the Mark I version of the Firebox, the mono version of the Simplifier, and did it have one other thing in it as well?
I'm sure the M-Box.
The M-Box, yes. We used the 2 notes cabinet M.
Cabinet M, sorry.
And even in that one, I was like, the Iridium didn't come out as my favourite, and yet, absolutely, as of today, the Iridium will still be the best-selling one of these. Yeah. So look, I mean,
Strymon has got a massive fan base, you know. That's
agreed.
And it's, you know, when you got all your other Strymon pedals, it sits there nicely on your board there, and you know. But the Walrus, I think, probably sound best to me in here in this room right now. That's just to say.
Yeah. You know, look, I mean, I don't know if I.
You can't compare it to the. We're putting the amp into something digital again, right? So I don't think it's fair for an amp to shoot it out against these, but because if you hear 212 cab in a room, it's a completely different experience. That's not.
We're both Pete and I are. If you went, what's the guitar tone that you want to inspire yourself? It's 100%. It's reasonably loud and it's through a proper guitar cabinet.
Yeah.
If you're, if you're gigging or you're recording and volume is banned, so you've either got in-ear or you've got you're not allowed a cabinet on stage.
Don't play those
or
gigs,
whatever.
Man. Don't do those gigs.
Then this is what you've got to use, and I'm kind of fascinated by just how amazing this technology actually is now. But look, let's put your drive pedal on, and we'll run through the same thing again.
Okay, so just the Dane at about, what is the time? About 10 o'clock gain.
Okay, so with the Walrus.
Put a bit of reverb on it.
Yeah. Okay, the Strymon.
Yeah.
The Atomic, now again, the Atomic, of course, we could use one of the internal drive effects that are in the Atomic, but
now
for consistency, we're still using the Dane.
Funny how they all sound different now.
They do
with the drive, they take it differently.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say, I mean, not in a bad way, but there's definitely this sort of
I think these two are similar. This one is definitely feeling. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
There's a lot of reverb on that, isn't there?
Yeah. Do you want to take it down a bit?
It's got that. It's definitely got that. Mid sort of pushed amp kind of tone, doesn't it? Well, let's try the real amp. Okay, just to go like. It's funny because that the analog element of that, and what we're hearing in the room, what I'm hearing in the room, you could hear it completely different, right? But I think that is more similar to the real amp. It feels to me similar in a way, but it's probably completely different when we get it back and listen back to it.
I think the real amp with real valves in it is compressing more with the drive pedal.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's things like that is the feel, isn't it? It really is.
There is just yeah. And again, just quickly run through them again.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much in it. I can tell that some of them, like the Ampli-Firebox, I'm not so keen on that sound with the drive pedal. I want to
EQ this Iridium differently as well. It's a bit too bit too harsh.
Yeah.
But again, we've not EQ'd anything at all yet. So I don't, I'm sure if you got this, if you bought any one of these options here, you'd absolutely, EQ it to your taste.
And they're similarly priced, all of them, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, that's kind of, I don't think, nothing is over £400, but there's not a lot of change out of £400. Yeah, Torpedo is like £450, isn't it? Plus, of course, you need to own the amp, with the Torpedo. I mean, in terms of value, the Firebox has the most other stuff in it.
Yeah.
So obviously you'd probably give that one some sort of value recognition. I mean, the Strymon and the Iridium feature for feature are pretty identical in the sense of what they're trying to do.
Strymon and the Walrus. You said the Strymon and the Iridium.
Yeah, the Strymon and the Iridium are exactly the same feature-wise because they're the same pedal.
The same pedal.
And then the Simplifier is its own kind of weird. Again, it's best to probably go and watch the demo we did on that. But you've got two distinct. You can either set this up to be a channel switching AB amplifier, or what we've done here is we're actually running both channels simultaneously to get that kind of like dual amp vibe.
Yeah, I think you can do that on the AC-S1. I think you can do something with 2 amps or whatever. You can set it up.
Yeah.
Wet, dry, or whatever. But
so
it's
where are we going here? Should we
going?
try and bump over to some of the more driven tones without using? Okay, so right, I've set all these up now in a gainier kind of more Marshall-y kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
On the ACS, the Iridium, and the Firebox, it is about sort of changing models and stuff. On the Simplifier Deluxe, it was about just turning the gain up and changing the mode switches into more of like lead and crunchy kind of mode switches. And I also did just change the tube emulation here. And on the valve amplifier, we just turned the preamp volume up. That's it.
Yeah.
All the way up. Yeah, which actually is kind of cool because we don't, on the DP40, which is basically Pete's purple V40, it's quite it's gainier than you think it will be if you turn the preamp all the way up. So there's no pedals. This is just the 5 different settings. Here we go with the Walrus.
It's not very gainy. And again, with that room, the room is just a bit weird. But so, you know what? So
I'll max the gain out because I agree.
But it's enough to.
There's no sense that this is like a modern Marshall. It's like an old cranked Marshall. And like you say, so the room is the room reverb is set about 12 o'clock. Yeah. If I turn it up more, it gets.
Yeah,
it's more like you're playing in a bathroom, isn't it?
Yeah, and what happens, because now we're running everything in the front of it, of the pedal amp, this happens. So it's too much.
Overwhelming. So what you'd have to do with the Walrus, I think, is apply all of your ambient effects after the gain structure. It's also got a little bit noisier, hasn't it, with that amount of gain in it?
Yeah. Slightly.
Okay, so that's I preferred the clean sound in the ACS1 than the gainy sound.
It's all right.
Let's move over to the Strymon.
Yes.
Same issue, really. We're going to have to use the room reverb rather than our own reverb.
Yeah.
Here we go. That's much more what I was thinking it would sound like. You know, I prefer that fatter, fuller gain sound. The Walrus, you're going to have to put another pedal over the top of that if you want that to be for...
So that's the Marshall setting on there, and that's the highest gain. Sorry, on the Walrus.
It's the Marshall setting with the drive at about 2 o'clock.
On the Walrus.
Sorry, on the Walrus, it's the Marshall setting. Yes,
okay, and that's the highest gain one there is on there.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, I get it. Okay, yeah.
So. Now the Firebox, of course, we've got lots of different amps we could have modelled, so I've gone with a Friedman Brown Eye, which is a sort of a modded Marshall gainy sound.
It's kind of got that low end, which might be a little bit unnatural. But nice. Do you know what I mean? Because it does make it nicer when you play with yourself.
I think with the Atomic, IRs are not really their bag, so I think the Atomic, although you get some IRs with it, my gut feeling is if you're a bit of an IR expert, you probably would just load your own ones into this
like
and
a pirate.
You would get some better results. Yeah.
IR.
So that's but it's got tons of gain, and of course you'd expect it to because it's got tons and tons of different guitar amp models in there.
Yeah. That's the worst dose I've ever made.
Hey, let me just... There's not really a sense that any of them have got a worse noise floor than the other. Let me just...
It's a guitar shop now, so...
Maybe the Walrus is slightly noisier.
No. Iridium is slightly noisier on this side.
Okay. I mean, I'm predominantly hearing this speaker, you're predominantly hearing that one. There's not much in it, is there?
No.
Okay, so now the Humboldt.
Definitely a slightly noisier, but you would expect that from an analog. I think the reverb helps, and it's too...
Yes.
You got one...
It's really good reverb, isn't it? In that.
It's got that unnatural... As soon as you get to that unnatural bottom end... It's not a gainy amp, is it? And the other ones have got like V30 loaded caps, and that's not that. So
that's true.
I'm not defending the amp, but it's not a gainy amp.
I don't mind that for an amp.
I think it sounds great. But it's much lower gain than any other.
Well, the only one I don't really like out of that is the ACS1, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Bit of flat and non-distinctive, isn't it?
Yes.
I hate giving bad criticism.
Can we just try those sounds now? What if you use it with just the boost side of the Dane over the top of it or something? Okay. It's still very vintage sounding, isn't it?
Yeah, but it does sound like an old... You know, you remember when we plucked those little 110 in and you go, oh my God, I don't know what to do with it. But you just have to crank it up, you know.
Any so far.
Opinions out there.
I mean, there's for most of these, for 3 at least out of the 4, there is now a Vox setting as well, so we might as well finish with that. Again, the Atomic is the one with tons of different settings, so if you're sort of feeling like, you know, just basically a Fender Marshall Vox isn't enough for you. But let's try that. I'll just dial in some tones here and see what we get coming back in a moment. Okay, last little run through of these units in their kind of Voxy modes. Obviously the final one, the actual amplifier, we've just fiddled with the settings a bit, but we're not, you know, it's still the same amplifier basically. So here we go, Walrus in its Dartford mode, best
Dartford
known
tunnel.
for, yes, it's both its tunnel and being the home of Vox back in the day.
And all the cues.
Put some reverb on it maybe, and
See if it. Again.
still a bit too much, isn't it?
Got
Yes,
the same problem. But then again, the Vox doesn't have a reverb. It's a good sound.
The Walrus seems to have a certain character and life about it. You know, it's quite bright and in your face, which I think sometimes I feel like a home use guitar player would take that away to make it more forgiving and pleasant, but like a professional guitar player would go, no, that I like that.
Yeah, with the unnatural low end kind of thing, you know, that.
So that's that one.
Sound. You like that?
Funny enough, I think the Strymon's the one I like the least on the Strymon is just its Fender.
Yeah, the clean tone.
Which
is probably the one you would
Marshall
use.
And Vox. Yeah, it's the one that you'd actually think most brands get the closest, don't they?
Well,
or do they?
or do they? New strings on here. Did you change that? They sounded the same, those two.
I think the Firebox does Vox really well.
Yeah, they do Vox.
It's the one so far that if you ask me this blind, which amp are each of these trying to be, I think the Firebox is the one that gets it most Voxy. You know?
I mean, they sound pretty damn similar. There's a little bit more bucket tone on that one. It's got that. It's the bucket tone, isn't it?
I like it. Anyway,
yeah.
The Simplifier again. It has an AC mode, so we're into that now. Here we go.
And it's funny because there's two, isn't there?
Quite gainy, isn't it? That?
Yeah. And there's
the
like
gain on here. Let's turn the gain.
I like it.
Do you know what? It's really funny, isn't it? I think that's the Voxy sound is the one the Simplifier does the least well. Like, I really like its clean, its Fendery, and its Marshally tones.
I think that sounds better than the others. On that tone.
But Vox amplifiers have got a certain weird. I don't know whether it's the speaker or what, but it does something. The bass end's very different. And I think these three are capturing it better than the Simplifier.
It's almost like a between middle and bass tone that it's got more of than. But it's so difficult to explain. Man, they all sound very similar.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I would say the Simplifier is really sounding that Voxy at all, although it's in its AC Brit mode.
I think it does. See, now you're double tracking it. Oh, there's a gain.
I apologise in that first bit, and I'm going to listen through this again because I had the Simplifier set to its 4x12 rather than 2x12 cab.
Oh, have
so
you?
let me just see if that's made a big difference. So we start again with the Walrus.
You naughty man.
Naughty.
Yeah, now it's much more...
A little bit...
I mean, there's too much bottom end on that one, but it isn't a Vox amp.
So that last one...
That's the amp, yeah. Man, let's try again on
there isn't really a bad one, is there? So it's just difficult to... Okay, so, now this is Voxy sounding with
the Dane. I mean, they all sound slightly different, but it is just it's almost like it's like a car. Okay, they all get you from A to B. They all got 4 wheels. You know what I mean? But which one do you just like to sit in, or which brand would you like to look at on your steering wheel?
There's so little in it here. I've got to say that for the Fendery tone, for me, the Iridium was the loser.
Yeah.
And the other 3 were all sounding good, and obviously the real amp sounded great. For the Marshall sound, the Walrus was the loser, but again, only because I think it's the type of Marshall it's trying to be, rather than necessarily it was a bad sound. It's just an old school,
it's almost
raspy.
It's an JTM 45, isn't it?
And then on the AC, I thought the Simplifier was the only one that didn't really capture it. Obviously, the real amp didn't really capture it either.
No, not at all.
I kind of felt... If you're drawn towards the amplifier box, it's probably because it's got loads more features rather than it does any one thing better than the other ones.
Yeah.
And there's something about the Simplifier which I mean, it looks terribly confusing with all the knobs and buttons on it, but, you know, on the flip side, you know, I quite like the fact there's no USB, there's no sense of digital.
Nothing like that.
And it did that analogy thing, didn't it? It just sounded real, like in the room.
Yeah. Oh man. A real star here is actually that engine room Fender, because that's powering all of those things. Even the torpedo caps on 12 volts.
This is true. I mean,
that's powering all of that stuff there, and there's still room for more.
So yeah, look.
Oh, there you go, man.
I don't think there's a real. This is tough, isn't it? Because if you had to. All right. Well, so which one are you picking, Pete? I mean, this will be different for all of you, and maybe in the comments section below, that'll be fun just to see which one, you know, are you sticking with your real amplifier and buying a Captor X because, you know, for where you can't make any noise. So again, Captor X, this could be a live or and
you can have your cab in it. And
that's true. You could have the cab as well with the Captor X. Or one of these.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one I would go for. This, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think you just. Whichever one of these you buy, you'll be happy with it. And it's like you can be fanboying on one brand, right? And then you go for that one brand. And I think that's why the Strymon is so popular. It's a great pedal. Yeah. It sounds great. You can put your own IRs in there. IR. I mean, and I think that's people buy it because it's got a brand. You know,
MIDI on all 3 of these. Obviously, no MIDI on the Simplifier.
I mean, because I'm a little bit analog, I like the Simplifier. But then again, I prefer the Walrus.
The Simplifier thing freaks me out every time we demo this, because it's like, if you go back to the last wave of solid state preampy kind of things like this, you probably are talking about Palmer, going back to those old speaker emulation boxes that they did. Yeah. And I remember trying those thinking, God, they sound not rubbish, but they just don't capture the essence of guitar in the way that digital stuff did. Yeah. So I'm really surprised how much I've enjoyed using and again, don't forget there is a slightly simpler mono version of this, which is about £100 cheaper as well.
It's not mono. It's got 2 outputs out.
But it's 1 amp, sorry.
Yeah, it's 1 amp.
It's 1 channel, isn't it?
One channel, right. So this is a Deluxe with 2 channels in it. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, man.
I meant to say as well, if you're wondering how you switch this, this comes with it. So you get like a little remote box to do your channel and your reverb. Obviously the other pedals have got the pedals built into them.
I mean, they put a lot in that pedal.
Look, I
think you won't go wrong with any of these. I prefer the clean sound in the Walrus, I think. And then maybe the Simplifier, those 2. But they're all great. But I'd still rather plug into a real amp and a 2x12 cab at the end of the day.
Yes, I get it.
It's a feel thing in the room, man. You're sitting... I was speaking to a few of my friends who's been, not gigging and being home in lockdown and doing stuff, and they've been playing through all of this stuff or straight into a laptop, which we should actually try one time. Use Logic's or use the Universal Audio plugins, which I use a lot, and they're great, right? But when you do it all the time, and then all of a sudden you plug into an amp with two, and you go, I get how I can get inspired. You can forget how good a real amp actually is at the end of the day.
I'm still loving the fact, though, to be honest with you, again, that turning up to a gig with my regular pedal board that I'm super familiar with, one of these at the end of it, sound man, here you go. As long as I get something back in the foldback so I can hear it, yes. It's not quite as much fun as having that, but it's just so practical.
It's not the same, man.
No, not the same experience, but it's so practical. Yes, and I bet the audience can't tell.
No, but that doesn't matter about the audience. It matters about you and when you inspire to play. You want to get your gear and your guitar, and when you do this, you want to be able to just go like this and not go, oh no. Do you know what I mean? Or I'm not quite happy with that tone. Or why can't I just have that? And because you got some monitor from a that's been there for 60 years and have beard spilled in it 800 times, and I mean, it's just me,
It's not just you. I think it's everybody. This is about practicality, isn't it, rather than ultimate satisfaction.
The little 1x12, boom, Hot Rod Deluxe. That's really practical. All you have to do is lift it like that and stick it down on stage.
Well, there you go. There you go. And this is why these videos are so much fun, because there's, everyone's going to have an opinion. Well, there you are. What did you like? I guess the comments section will tell us which one you guys thought was the winner. Thank you very much for watching. So if you want to buy one of these 4 pedals, you can probably find the Walrus and the Strymon in most good music stores around the world. And the 2 Notes for that matter. Obviously, if you're in the UK or Europe and you'd like to support Andertons, it'd be great if you could buy it from us. The Atomic and the Simplifier Deluxe will be slightly tougher to track down. These are much smaller companies. So if you can't find one of these in your local music store, don't worry, because Andertons can ship worldwide on these. But yes, that is it. Thank you very much for watching.
And you can buy a pink shirt as well.
Yes.
Because that just makes purple.
He's pretty in pink. That's it. All right, see you guys later. Bye-bye.